Let's not change anything.
Okay. I'm a little nervous because the last time I hit record is when you disappeared.
Well, mine says it's still recording.
No, I paused. Oh, it says it's recording.
Yeah.
Yay.
Let's
I'll just have to edit it. All right. I'm just not going to post the link to this.
Crackers going, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, and I've been making weird faces at the screen. So awesome. Anyway, so let's try to wrap this up. Was it decided that Melkor has the idea for the lamps?
He definitely sees them as his project.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if the host decided whose idea it was. I know it was suggested. Oh, maybe it was Melkor's idea. I just don't remember what the decision was.
Right. Yeah. Hang on a second. I gotta find this out real quick. Because if it is his idea, we've kind of set him up for this at this point. Oh boy, I can see us on here. That's awesome.
So it's real. It's actually recording.
Okay, cool. So let me go to mythgard.org. That was terrible. I was in a feedback loop.
Right, I was about to say you're talking to yourself, and it's on both devices. Anyway.
Okay, so Mythgard Institute activities, SilmFilm project.
And just check the notes. Is that what you're
yeah. I mean, I feel like it's the easiest way to transition from here. Because we can do something at this point that gives Melkor this bright idea.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Right. The hesitant reason for not accepting it is because then it makes the lamps inherently evil from the beginning because Melkor had a bad reason for wanting to do them, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And this is supposed to be the springtime of Arda. It's supposed to be idyllic and perfect. And Melkor's not supposed to be there. So the fact that we put Melkor there already changes that dynamic. So
no, it doesn't. He is there in some versions of the story. He's not there in the published Silmarillion, but in some versions of the story, he's there.
Yes, but in the versions where he's there, he's messing things up.
Yes,
so
that's true.
The idyllic springtime of Arda version is and Melkor went off somewhere and did his own thing.
So do we give the idea back to Manwë again?
See.
Or do we do Aule?
Yeah, I'm a little stuck because there's good reasons for each.
I mean, Barda,
Right. There's like lots of people who could have the initial suggestion.
Well, we can eliminate
thing. It really kind of should be Varda's idea.
Okay.
Kind of. I'm pretty sure that the lamps are really supposed to be an Alla and Yavanna thing about wouldn't it be nice if there was lights for my creatures, and Alla's like, let me build you some. So yeah, so that's both of them. And then Melkor, makes it his project, and that works. And Manwë, he shows his leadership. So like all of them would have a reason for being like, let's do this thing.
So what if we stuck with the thing of it being Yavanna and Aule? Gives them another moment together.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's Aule kind of calling everybody together.
Mm-hmm. We've got this great new idea.
Which he's really never going to do again. So it kind of gives him a moment, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
His biggest moment is going to be the creation of the dwarves, which...
Right. That was a secret private thing.
Yes.
It's horribly wrong.
Yes, absolutely. So we get so if we give it to we have Yavanna saying something to Aule to the effect of there's all these great new creatures. I wish that there was and more new creatures and plants. I wish that there was more light.
Mm.
And so Aule comes up with the idea for the lamps. And then over the next episode, we're going to see Melkor kind of taking that, almost usurping that project from him in a way.
Yes.
Usurping is a little bit of a strong word, but
taking over is definitely what happens. And Ale, in the spirit of collaboration, is like, yeah, let's all work on this. And Melkor's like, right, so you all do what I say.
Yeah. Like, Ale doesn't even notice.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he's like taking over construction on one lamp, and Melkor's like, well, I'll do the other one, and Ale's like, great, I'll oversee this one, you oversee that one, everything's fine. Like,
well, I don't know, because then would they look different?
Yeah, well, maybe they go back and forth and collaborate. I mean,
yeah. I feel like that if they're working together at the planning stage, like we worked together last time,
right?
It worked out so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's something that gradually goes wrong.
Yeah.
And Melkor's the one who feels like he's not getting his say, which means Ale is fine with their collaboration.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can bring back the table again.
Right.
Get another chance to use the table, and Ale can raise the lamps on the table.
Yeah.
So we can see what they're going to look like, because we're not really going to get that view of them.
Right. You're not going to see
reality. Like we're not going to actually see that, but we're going to see what they look like on the table.
Mm-hmm. And that is something that requires input from other people, like Varda, if they're going to do the light. And everyone wanted the idea of each of the Maiar and Valar, like, puts a little bit of their own light into the lamps.
Yes.
So once they create these globes, they're going to have to, like, harvest the light from everybody.
Right.
But that's all next episode.
Yes. We're not there yet.
No.
Okay. So how far do we get? I mean, do we get to the planning phase, I guess?
We at least have to get to the agreement that this is something we should do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So Ale and Yvonne are like, hey, here's this new thing, and we think this will be great, and all the plants can grow. Some of the people might not understand why that's important, and might be a little hesitant to give up some of their own light for this project. So we can have some pushback of, like, why would we do this?
Well, do we want to make this a point of contention for them, though? Because we're kind of wrapping up their story in this.
Yes.
So I don't know if we have pushback, now we have to combat the pushback. We have to figure out a way. It kind of makes the climax of the conversation between between Ulmo and Melkor. Thank you. Mildly anticlimactic. Because we have a new concept. A new conflict.
Yeah. Well, this is where it starts becoming an issue of, are these episodes going to be discrete, neatly wrapped up episodes, or are elements going to bleed into the next episode?
Yeah.
And
that's true.
I'm someone who's very, very strongly in favor of all the bleeding.
So, yeah, no, no, that's a good point.
But they can lead you into problems of, yes, having a climactic interaction and then move right on to the next plot point.
Yeah. Well, because the bleeding that I see happening is if we show them showing the lamps, maybe show Melkor striding to the front of the room, like I think this is a great idea and it'll be wonderful and we'll all do it together, like clearly taking charge of the situation. Maybe a few uncomfortable looks being passed.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do that, then it sets up that kind of, well, what's going to happen with this thing if we leave it there,
right?
And we don't address what people are going to have to say about it.
Okay. I'm pretty okay with that because, I mean, the whole next episode has to be, we're building the lamps. So
Right.
There's plenty of time to get into all the nuances of what people thought about the lamps and whether or not they're comfortable. So we can table all that for next time and avoid spending more time in the boardroom.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what we don't need more of. And that's what I'm concerned about is that so much of our plot is let's have people stand around and talk.
Right. Well, I think the addition of the magical table
helps.
Is going to, that's a big deal. I've seen that used as that kind of thing used as a plot device in the past. Mm-hmm. Not exactly that kind of thing, but having some.
Are you familiar with the TV show Bones?
No, I've not very. I've seen like an episode of it years ago, but yeah.
Well, at any rate, it's one of the crime shows where they have dead bodies, skeletons, whatever. For that show, they have a 3D holographic projection thing. Mm-hmm. So anytime they're standing around discussing something, they have someone who's like just quickly on the screen doing this, and it pops up in 3D hologram at whatever they're discussing. Like, well, clearly the person could have fallen back at this angle, and you see it all playing out. Now,
exactly.
There's no such thing as an actual modeling program that you can just like go do and it like does a complete 3D model of something.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's
we're not quite there yet.
Right, and it's called out a little bit in that the person who runs it, it's her personal program.
Yeah.
She invented it and no one else has it. Like, yeah. So it's they kind of let on that like this isn't a thing that actually exists.
Right, yeah.
But they use it all the time because it's really useful.
Right. And it's also a great plot device, which we're kind of using that here.
Yes.
Okay. So if we end the story there and go back into the frame, what has happened in the frame? Like, because obviously we started off with Estelle being, not quite seeing what Elrond's getting at here.
Yeah.
Elrond is basically implying that you start doing something that's a little evil now, but that grows. That's because nothing really starts out as evil. Right.
So he can say that explicitly, like say that actual line, nothing is evil in the beginning.
Right.
He can also say that it's your individual decisions that matter, that set you on the course that you're going to follow.
Right.
And from the beginning here, he could point out one of the characters, whether it's Ulmo or Melkor, either one would be an option to be like, see how they behaved here, set the stage for how things would play out later.
Yeah.
And little Estelle can be like, well, how did things play out later? It's like, well, we'll get to that next lesson.
Yeah, that's another story. No.
Yeah. Sorry. I know I'm going to do that every time because
it's so easy to do that too. But it's hard not to. It really is.
Right. We're telling a serial story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the host did have something with the suggestion that Estelle kind of get the wrong idea. Like maybe Estelle doesn't get the point of the lesson.
Right.
That, Estelle kind of comes to the conclusion, well, then Melkor was actually really great.
Mm-hmm.
He did all this great stuff. He helped them with all this.
Mm-hmm.
We now have walruses.
Right.
And Elrond says, and that maybe that's when says, well, nothing is evil in the beginning.
And we can just end it there.
Right.
Yeah. Since that's the whole point, having that be a end wrap is how we should use that line.
I agree.
And then we can leave it up to the audience to figure out if it's Ulmo or Melkor who's going to ultimately go bad. Although
the problem. I don't see how.
Yeah, we're totally setting it up as Melkor.
Well, the idea I think is not necessarily to give the audience an impression that Melkor is not the bad guy. I think the goal is to have them rooting for him nonetheless.
Right.
You know, kind of like somewhere because they know, like they clearly know that this is not going to go well.
Right.
But to have them be like, you know, I hope that somehow, it's okay.
Right. So we have to make the audience really feel Manway's hope.
Yeah.
For the way
exactly.
Resolved.
Yeah, because because if they don't feel the hope that Manway has, Manway's going to look like an idiot.
Right.
Several times.
Yes. And we have to continue to give Melkor some semi-legitimate reasons to be upset, which we have in this with getting the false accusations when it's really Ungoliant. And we're going to meet Ungoliant next time for real and find out what she's actually been doing. And then we'll know it was her, not him. So, like, we are putting things like that in.
Yeah.
With the lamp.
Justifying Manway's faith in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I think as long as we keep including things like that, but as it goes on, it should be steadily more of the petty, spiteful stuff and much less of the insightful comment on the relationship between air and water and cold.
Yes, absolutely.
Behold the snowflake.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think we've wrapped it then?
I think so. I think we got everything in.
Okay. So despite the technical difficulties, we got in at under 3 hours, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it is recorded, so I'm gonna have to go back and
good luck with that.
Work my way through it. But anyway, so this has been the SilmFilm script discussion for season 1, episode 4 of the theoretical adaptation of the J.R.R. Tolkien's Silmarillion to the screen in the form of television series. Any information any further information that you might want, I'm going to have links in the description. Thank you for checking that out. And it's been great. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night. Okay. It says pausing recording, but I have no faith in that whatsoever anymore. All right. I'm just going to say goodnight because I don't know what's going to happen. All right. Thanks very much for being patient with all this nonsense as it's gone through and the fun little technical issues we've had.
It seems to have worked out okay, so
yeah.
I'm happy with that. I'm sorry we couldn't get Karita on. Was it on her end, or was it just?
I'm not entirely certain. Given how difficult, there were people in the chat who were saying that they were having trouble hearing her. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think at that point it was her connection. It wasn't her equipment at all. It was her connection.
Right. Yeah. So it's just more of the same that we ran into later.
Yeah. Like the first time when she tried to connect and we couldn't get her in.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well, have a great night. See you next week if possible.
Hopefully, I should be able to make it next week.
Yeah. Alrighty. Take care.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Yes, I want to hang up.